In this video, I'm going to show you how to make 3 different types of Womp basses for drum and bass. So let's have a look at what you just heard there, the first Womp bass. So let's just play it on its own so you can hear. And let's play it without the sub. So the notes are playing in the D range, so it starts on a D. And then this is the Serum preset, and I have literally just changed it up until I found something that I liked, and this is the result I got. So we've got this LFO shape, and it's on envelope and on a quarter rate, and then we've just drawn this in like this, and down like that, and you just make new ones by clicking on it like that, and it looks like that. And then we've dragged it into all these different elements. So we've dragged it into the level, the sync, the noise, the sub, the filter, and also another filter here, and the distortion. So we've just gone here, and added it in. Now let's have a look at the first wavetable. So let's turn everything off, and then I'll introduce everything one by one. And I'll also turn off the post-processing, which we'll add in later. So let's start with just oscillator A. Now this is just a basic shapes, and it's on +1 octave. So it sounds like this. And the wavetable position is on 5. The rand is on 0. And then we've applied LFO 7 here, and applied sync to 36. And then what we've done is applied the level to 82 to get this kind of weird sound. Now let's add the sub in. So we've added the sub just on the first one on -2 and brought the LFO in to 73. Sounds like that. Now let's add a noise, and we've picked hum 1 from organics, and then we've applied the LFO level to 61. Sounds like that. It sounds very subtle in the background, but you will hear it in a second. Now let's put the filter on. And there you go, you can hear it. And we've got this filter on A and B, but not on the noise, which is why you can hear it better. And then we've got this LFO going into the cutoff. So it's 99 Hertz around, and then 21. And then we've got the res at 34, the drive at 24. And that's everything on this page. Coming into the post-processing here, we've got a distortion on hard clip, and then the driver's on 0, but we apply the LFO all the way around so that the distortion matches this LFO shape here. And then the mix on 100%. And there you've got the base of the sound. Now we just need to boost some of the levels. So let's add another filter on. Now I've put the cutoff here on 94%, and this is going to be going through everything on this page, including the noise, which this filter wasn't previously. Now this is a bit nitpicky, but it's only on 94% to allow the noise to come through a little bit more on this range. And to me that just added a bit more depth in the sound design. A little bit complicated, but for me it works better than just turning this noise button on here. Now let's have a look at the compressor. So we've just got the compressor on basic, not on multiband, and it's just on a 12.8 gain and a -16.7 threshold. And there you start to get that gritty Womp bass sound. Now we have done some post-processing on this as well. So we've got an OTT on 13% depth, 89% time, and then 200 upward and downward, just to add a bit more grit and depth to it. Then we've got a decimal 2 on it on action movie setting, which is our favorite one. You all know that by now. And then finally we've got a Pro Q taking out the lows at 200 rate and adding a little bit of 3400. And then what we've done is added a sub as well. So without the sub, tune sounds like this. So it sounds good, but it sounds a little bit empty. And then with the sub, just completely transforms the tune. So let's have a look at this sub. So one thing to note is I have copied this across like this to the sub, and then on the sub level here for the Pro Q, I've literally just come into here, shape, low cut, shape, high cut, and you just switch it around like that so you keep the exact same frequency. So you can cut off the lows there and add the lows here. Now what is this sub bass? So this is the sub bass from my website in the drum and bass collection pack, and I use it on like everything just because it's such a cool sub bass. Now I'll let you copy it if you want. It's literally just this, nothing on the FX tab, and then I've drawn it on here. It sounds like that. And then all we've got is that Pro Q that I mentioned, Pro L on +7.1. Now you can add this R bass feature, which is pretty cool. It's from Waves plugin, and it sounds like this with it on. Like that. Now it's up to you whether you want to use this. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. And you can pick the frequency of the key you're in. So I could find where D is on the frequency chart. Let me show you how to do that. So on this website here, frequency of notes, I just Googled. I can find where D is. Here we go, 36.7. And then I can go here, 36, and increase the intensity for it. And you just have a play around with that and see if you can come up with something that sounds better, but sometimes it sounds worse, so just be careful. And then finally, let's come to the bass bus. So on this channel, we've got another Pro Q, and I wasn't happy with the depth of the mids and the lows, so I just did a boost on 37, and you can see it's in D as well, and 301, which you can see is on the D scale, because the first note is a D, and that just made it sound like this. But then we need a Pro L to stop it going crazy redlining. And to me, that just rounded off the sound and made it sound really, really good. Now, if you want loads more presets, make sure to check out my website, arcnade.com. The D&B production collection has got 150 Serum presets in, so make sure to check that out. Now, moving on to the second sound. So let's play it. So it sounds a little bit like that. So let's go through the Serum sound. So let's hear it on its own. Sounds like that. Now this one I haven't used a sub. I've just gone straight for it with the raw sound. So let's have a look at this bass. So we've got LFO1 running on this wave table, on the envelope, and on rate quarter. And then we've got it running into the wavetable position. So when it plays, the wavetable position changes as this changes. And then we've got it on the level of 2. And then we don't have it on anything else apart from the cutoff. So this has just been made by experimenting, by having a basic shapes on -2 as the bass, as you can hear. And then some depth with the basic MCB here on +7. And then we've just got the cutoff on. So without the cutoff, it sounds like this. I mean, which sounds pretty cool itself. Let's have a listen to that. And then with the cutoff, it sounds like this. So yeah, you can just experiment. We could even increase this. And just play around and see what you like for your track. And then the effects page, we've just got a distortion on Stompbox. And then a compressor. So without any of these, it sounds like this. And then with the distortion, it sounds like this. And the compressor, just add a bit more loudness. And then we've only got an OTT on the post-processing for this. I didn't feel like it needed anything else. But we have got it running through a reverb as well. Just to give it that width. And it's just on these settings. So this is running through this and through the bass bus. It sounds like that. The third bass sounds a little bit like this. So on its own, it sounds like this. So essentially what it is a wub bass with a sub underneath it. So let's have a look at the wub on its own. So I've picked the wavetable, the very first one, 4088, and I put it on -2. And then we've got no settings on, so we can turn all this off, like we can turn the rand off as well. And then the wavetable position is just up a little bit. That doesn't really do much, to be honest. And then it's on basic shapes on this side on +1 octave. And then I've just got this LFO shape on envelope, quarter rate, and it's going like this. And this really works. You see how it's in between the bars, so it works better. This kind of bass works better in between. It works all right here, like this. But I found it quite cool like this. So let's have a look at the LFO. So there's 7 different things coming from this LFO. So it goes into this cutoff to start with, an MG low 12 with both these turned on, going through both these, but not the sub. And then it's going to the level. So I've just dragged it on all these, level, and then we've got some FM going on as well. So without FM it sounds like this. And then with the FM it sounds like this. So it gives it that squelchy sound. And then you can have a play around with this as well. So what this FM button is, just brings this signal into this one and makes it sound a bit crazy. So that's everything on this page, and then we've got some effects. We've got some stomp box, and then we've got this LFO going into this again. The stomp box is just the one near the bottom here. Got a compressor on without the multiband on. This is what it sounds like with it on. Sounds a bit crap, so I just left that off. And then we've got like a little EQ with the on the gain here, just boosting some of the highs. So you can have a play around with this as well. See if you can bring some of the frequencies through the mix a bit more. And then the post-processing, so without any post-processing, it sounds like this. And then with post-processing, we've got this OTT, which you can see here on 11% and 89%, and then we haven't really changed anything else. The upward and downward is on 200%. And then we've got a decimal 2, just on the action movie setting. So let's turn these on one at a time, so you can hear. And then we've got this trash 2, the multiband setting, nothing on the low end, and a cheap digital on the mids. Then we just shape this a little bit down. And then on the third one, it's just a cracked actress under heavy. It's shaped up a little bit. So have a play around with these settings, try some other ones. And then this, I've just put the wet mix down a little bit there, as you can see. And then we've got an EQ, which we can turn on, cutting out any of the lows, because our sub's going to help us there. And then I was playing around with some Valhalla Room as well, to give it some like more depth. So have a play around with that and see if you can come up with anything that sounds decent with the mix level. But you might want to add it on separately, which is what I've done here. Put it in a new channel and put the Valhalla Room on here. Then an EQ, then you can EQ out the lows and just send it to the channel here and apply the amount you want. This is what it sounds like without and with. And then we've just got a Pro L on the bottom. Now this sub has got a EQ on it going down like that, and then this on it here. It's an R bass mono from Waves. It sounds like this without it. Sounds like this with it. Now it sounds alright, it's up to you what you want to do. I have actually changed the wave table of this one, so I just need to do this. I've changed it in here. Or what you can do if you want to change this wave table to the sub one is you can go here, save shape, and then I can just call it like jump up 3. Then we can come here, go down to menu, rescan folders on disk, come back up to here, user, jump up 3. Now it matches, and then this is what it sounds like with the R bass on. So it's up to you whether you want that sound or not, and then let's listen to it like this. So yeah, either way works quite well. So you could also experiment with layering the sound, so you could get more layers, like duplicate this sound and try layering it and see what you can come up with, separating the mids and the highs. And yeah, just experiment. And if you come up with anything, let me know in the comments. So that is the third and final one done. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, leave a comment on what you'd like to see from me in the future. Make sure to check out my website. There's lots of sample packs and coaching to get your hands on. And I'll see you all in the next one.